If you've ever had the inkling that growth isn't for you after you started growing, really sit with that. Because I wonder if you know if you're more familiar with what your potential is and you're more aware, I don't know if you're gonna be fulfilled if you stop.
He's gonna be okay. It's not life or death. Genuinely, it's not. I'm grateful it's not. But back to my original point, every time you grow and evolve, every person, place, thing, and idea in your life is a little more aligned or a little less.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another episode of Next Level University, where we help you level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed yesterday's episode number 1704, What Would Younger You Think of You Today? I always love episodes like that. Today, for episode number 1705, it is Freestyle Friday. And as you know, or maybe you don't, if this is your first Freestyle Friday, this is where we just kind of chat. And we don't necessarily have an itinerary. We just see what comes up, and then we kind of take it from there. So this is what I've been thinking of. This is what's on my mind for today's Freestyle Friday. Had a conversation about... We were talking recently about how fear is a fence. And when you do something that scares you, it extends the fence further. And I was having a conversation very similar to that. And the person said, what do you say to someone who is afraid of discomfort? They're afraid of the discomfort of change. They're afraid of this discomfort of growth. They're afraid of the discomfort of evolution, whatever it is. And I said, yeah, it's a great question. It is. It's a really good question. I said, we have to have an honest conversation with ourselves of, am I more afraid? Am I more uncomfortable? Is there more discomfort when I think of stagnation? Or is there more discomfort when I think of growth? Am I willing to go through the discomfort of growth to avoid the discomfort of stagnation? That's really what's been on my mind a lot lately, because when you're on a podcast and people are asking you questions, you only have an hour or a half hour, depending on the show. And
sometimes even less.
The
shorter ones are brutal for me. You can't go deep at all.
You can't really tell your story. It's harder. But you're kind of missing out on all of the stuff that has changed. I can give the highlights, and this made a difference, this made a difference, this made a difference. But the thing that made the biggest difference for me was understanding that I was more scared of staying the same than I was of changing. I wrote a song a while ago, and one of the lines in it is, I used to be afraid of change, now I'm scared to stay the same. And I think that's a really good place to be. Not from, I don't love myself, none of that. But I don't want to be in the same place today. I don't want to be in the same place 5 years from today that I am today. But it wasn't always that way. I didn't always fear stagnation more than growth. But I think you have to start experiencing it. There is something so sexy, for lack of better phrasing, about momentum. Momentum feels so good. When you face a fear that you didn't necessarily think you could face, and then you have that high after, that's when you set the goal for the next fear you're going to face. And if you do that, and you do that, and you do that, life can look very, very, very different. And then you look back and say, I can't believe I was afraid of that. I can't believe I was afraid of whatever it is. I can't believe I was afraid of podcasting at this point, but we've done it enough times. I'm getting to the point where, I'm not there yet. I'm getting closer to the point where I can't believe I was afraid of public speaking, because we've done it enough times. We've done it enough times. It's just experience. And it's reps and being in the arena or being in the water or being on the field, whatever you want to consider it. So, yeah, that's really what I'm thinking about. You've been talking a lot about how no matter what, life is going to suck. I think that's hardcore. I think life is going to be challenging no matter what. But I don't want to negate your view. I think life is going to be uncomfortable in areas all the time, forever, no matter what. And at least if we choose the right areas in the right progress and the right trajectory will be better off for it. Last thing before I kick it to you, Alan. 5 years from today, 10 years from today, 15 years from today, 20 years from today, your life will look dramatically different than it does today. It will either be better or it will be worse. It will not be the exact same. It can't, because you're not going to be the exact same. It just can't. It can't stay the exact same because nothing does. Nothing stays the exact same. You fill up a balloon with air, you tie it to something, and it'll float for a week, maybe 2 weeks, but eventually the air starts to seep out. What are you doing over there?
I'm trying a little something different.
Trying a little something different.
I want to get in a little bit of a chiller spot.
I'm talking about balloons.
I don't know why you're using a balloon analogy for discomfort.
Think about this. No, it's not about discomfort. It's about staying the same. You go to the store. Okay, we want to celebrate. It's my child's 13th birthday. Let me get 13 balloons. Love it. Cool, let's do that. Helium. They're going to float. Awesome. Those balloons are only going to float for like a week. And then that air starts to seep out and the balloons get lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. They're not staying the same. Nothing's changing. You're not doing anything with the balloons. You're not beating on them. You're not poking holes in them. They just are experiencing time, and then they eventually end up on the floor. If you don't fill them up again, that's it. That's the end of them.
The law of entropy.
Sure. I love it. I'm a huge fan of it. Studied it extensively.
The law of entropy states that anything in the universe that does not have energy injected into it will eventually fall into chaos. The books on your bookshelf will get dusty. Your home will be overgrown and destroyed over time if you don't renovate it and improve it and landscape it and all that. We have to do our gutters. The gutters will fill up with stuff, and then the house can leak if you're not.
Well, the water overflows, and then it seeps into your basement. You know.
You think that's why? And when I said life is always going to suck, what I mean by that is, if you expect life to be good, you're going to be disappointed 90% of the time. If you expect life to suck, you're going to be accurate 90% of the time. And then the 10% that's amazing, you're going to be over the moon. And again, it's kind of a mental cheat code, because you can believe whatever you want. And really, it's a duality. Life is great and it sucks. And it's a dance between those two extremes. I just, as a podcaster, you kind of have to say things that land powerfully. And so which end are you on? Are you on the end where life is uncomfortable inherently and you have to get outside your comfort zone in order to grow? Or is life supposed to be comfortable? If you believe life is supposed to be comfortable, you're most likely seeking comfort. And then you're going to have a rude awakening over time when the feedback comes to you all at once. If you think life is supposed to be uncomfortable, you're probably okay with doing things that are uncomfortable. And then life might end up pretty comfortable, all things considered. It's paradoxical. I've been saying paradox 8,000 times over the last.
I know. I need to get a little buzzer. I need get a little buzzer to hit every time you say paradoxical.
What was the last? We have themes at NLU. It's 1,700 episodes. It's weird with me lounging. I'm lounging right now. I'm very just
kick
relaxed.
those shoes off. Kick the shoes off, maybe.
Shoes are off.
You let the dogs out.
You know that I did.
Good for you.
And I'm leaning back. At NLU, over the years, we've had themes where these certain words would keep coming up. What were some of the other ones? Paradox right now is very clearly the one.
I would say it's almost like. That was my phrase for a long time. I don't know if I still say that. I might. It's almost like. What else? We had the jar for a while.
But there were words we would use constantly. There's we used to say why power all the time. We talked about why you do what you do all the time. Yeah. We had a theme for humility. We talked about humility a ton.
Mm.
We have we have themes. What'd you say?
Growing pains.
Yeah, growing pains part 54.
Yeah, we had a very, very long phase. I remember that like it was yesterday. Life felt so different. Because a lot of the growing pains we were growing through, it felt like the first time I was ever growing through those. It was that. It was dating as a new entrepreneur. I remember that was a heavy season, trying to figure all that out.
Yeah, we talked about relationships all the time back then.
We talked about relationships a lot. Even though...
And then we had a spiritual phase. We talked a lot about spirituality.
Yeah. I still love and believe in deeply the law of attraction and all of that. I just think that, I don't know, it's easy to take it too far. It's easy to take it too far and then just say, I was talking to someone recently and they said, we were talking about podcasting, and they said, well, I know what's happening is supposed to be happening and what's happening in the right time is supposed to be. And I don't want to impart on, or I don't want to erode someone else's beliefs, and I don't want to step on someone else's beliefs. But the truth of the matter is, this person's not very successful, and they're most likely not going to be. They're just, I'm not saying that to be negative. I'm just saying that looking at the data I saw behind the scenes.
Not only that, but if the person doesn't think there's a problem with that, this is paradoxical too. So Kevin and I for 7 years have been behind the scenes. Why isn't it working? 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 And the frustration that came from that actually brought the breakthroughs that ended up making it work.
Yeah. Here's my new thought. What if the, let's just say hypothetical person, is more focused on being aligned than they are successful? And when I say successful, I just mean externally, external results. I wonder what that looks like long term.
I think short term, they'll be more successful. I think long term, they'll have trouble scaling that. Because it depends on what aligned looks like. And this goes back to the comfort versus discomfort thing. Is it aligned to work 12-hour days, Monday through Saturday? Of course not.
No.
It never will be.
Well, it is for you.
Yeah. But
I think it is for some people, just not most.
Right. Well, that's something we can talk about too. I was on a coaching session yesterday or the day before. I said, no, it was a podcast. I said, some people come to me in business coaching and their business is completely misaligned with who they are now. And so we need to redesign the business to actually align with who you aspire to be and who you really are. If you don't want to work hard, but your whole business is predicated on hard work, you have to shift that. And then I have other clients who come to me and they are already aligned 10 out of 10, and they just want to amplify their success from that place. They want an amplified version of what already is. And then in order to do that, we have to start tracking some new habits or whatever. So you start a business, you grow it. Sometimes it outgrows you. Sometimes you outgrow it. And then you have to realign it. You're who you are, your dreams, your goals, your values, the people in your life. This is why growth is so brutal. Dude, the moment you grow, like really grow, not fluffy feel-good grow, but actually transform who Kevin Palmieri is, you transform into the next level version, Kevin Palmieri 3.5 or 3.4. Every person has to change. Every conversation you do and don't have has to change. Your car is a little more aligned or a little less. The music you listen to is a little more or a little less. The business is now a little more aligned or a little less. The people you spend time with, your intimate partner, everything, every conversation you have, every conversation you don't have, everything you say, think, do, feel, and believe. The moment that you evolve into a bigger, better, brighter version of yourself, everything around you has to shift a little. If you grow into the 3.5 version, when you turn 35, you grow into the 3.5 version of Kevin, and you were to go back and I would have put this version, 3.5 version of Kevin. When's your birthday?
August 8th, 1989.
Okay, so in August, you're going to be the 3.5 version of Kev.
Yes.
If I took that version of Kev and I plugged you into your 18-year-old life, you would hate your life. Well, you'd love it for a week. You'd love it for a week. For the first week, it might be a lot of fun. But after that, you'd have to change everything.
Yeah.
You'd have to change everything. You wouldn't want to drive the car you're driving. Like, wow, the Beamer's way better than this. You wouldn't want to date the person you were dating. Like, wow, Taryn was way better than this. Right? Everything would have to shift. Your friends, you'd have to change all your friends. That's why growth's so hard, because not only do you have to go through the discomfort of evolving, and the caterpillar to the butterfly analogy, the caterpillar is apparently in a lot of pain. I don't know if that's made up or not. I don't study caterpillars, but apparently they're in a lot of pain in the cocoon. And a lot of people are saying, well, parents are trying to eliminate pain for their kids by giving everyone a trophy and that kind of stuff. You can't eliminate pain for people when pain is what discomfort is required for growth. And so we've all had that moment where we have a friend who's suffering, but we also know they'll get through it. This is part of life. This is just another chapter. It's a challenging chapter. They're going to get through it. I had something really challenging happen to a client recently, and fortunately he's okay. But I had that moment of he'll get through it. He'll get stronger and smarter from this. And of course, bad things happen. He's going to be okay. It's not life or death. Genuinely, it's not. I'm grateful it's not. But back to my original point, every time you grow and evolve, every person, place, thing, and idea in your life is a little more aligned or a little less.
Yeah. Well, that's also a conversation of changing your perception or changing your behavior. Because I think what a lot of people do, and again, I'm sure I've done this. Of course I have. I probably changed my perception until I couldn't change my perception anymore.
Give me an example.
Again, weird, too much information, but it jumped into my mind, so I'm going to share it. The porn addiction. I'm sure for a while I probably thought, probably not a healthy amount that I'm watching this. But then I probably changed my perception and said, well, doesn't every guy watch it all the time? This is fine. It's not that big of a deal.
Oh, yeah.
It's not that big of a deal. I mean,
it's a rationalization.
There's worse things, right?
We did that with fast food recently on an episode. We rationalize it.
Yeah.
What is rational lies? Well, every guy does it. It's a rational lie. It's not a lie because every guy does do it, but not every guy.
Not every guy. Yeah,
statistically, most. But we've all been guilty of that. And that's why this podcast doesn't go as viral as some other shows, because we're telling people the hard truth that gets rid of their rationalizations. I had a moment of shame even just yesterday thinking about the podcast episode about fast food. I eat McDonald's every now and then, but it's not that often. I wish that I had made that more clear. I'm eating chicken and rice and salad at least every other day, if not probably 4 out of every 5 days. And then even when we get takeout, we're still getting Subway, like reasonably clean food. So, and then there's a part of us too that we know when we are not aligned, but there's a lag time between that awareness and change.
Next Level Nation, what is happening? If you've thought to yourself, I want to try coaching, but you don't really know where to start, group coaching would be a wonderful place for you. That's really why we created it in the first place. We start a new round every 90 days. So if you're hearing this, go to the website, nextleveluniverse.com, and we have the landing page where you can actually hold your spot right now. Even if there's a group going on right now, you can still lock your spot for the next one. The biggest thing that we've seen is as we get closer and closer to the date, unfortunately, some people end up missing. The group fills up and they can't do it, and then they end up regretting that. So please head over to the website. The link will be in the show notes, and we would love to see you there. Yeah. Pain. It's usually some level of pain. I don't know if it can work without that. Because you can change your perception forever and ever and ever until the pain is great enough where you can't really do it anymore. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe
That's
it just
the
keeps
rock bottom thing.
I think that's why so many stories are when people were, it felt like there was no further to fall. And you can't really change your perception. I think that's why awareness is so hard, because when you're aware of something, you can't change your perception, really. You can't really...
Yeah, you can't unsee that.
It's there forever. And even when you try to unsee it, you can't really. You can't really. I don't know if I have a good example. It's like when if you've ever worked at a restaurant, I've never worked at a restaurant. I told you I worked at a butcher shop for a day and then I quit, but I've never worked in a restaurant. I'm sure when you go to a restaurant, your perception of the restaurant is different. You know things. Like when you put your order in, you know what happens when they bring the ticket to the back and they give it to the chefs. I have no idea what that's. I don't know. I've never done that. I've never done that before. Just like we know that after we're done with this episode and we go off air, then we download stuff and upload stuff and go about our day. If you've never done that, you wouldn't know. So that's a whole nother thing, is when you're aware of something, your perception of it changes a ton. And I don't know if you can ever go back. Even if you try to. I don't know if you ever can. And we've had that conversation before of, it must be really hard to feel like you're growing and evolving. We've had conversations in the past, obviously anonymously, where you and I had a discussion about people that we were really close to that just kind of ran away and abandoned what seems like most growth.
Yeah, definitely.
And,
Sucks to see. Hate it.
For sure. And my argument was, I know you think they are better off for having the growth in the first place. I wonder if they are, because they're aware of what was possible and now they're not moving towards what was possible anymore. I wonder what they actually feel. I don't know. I haven't done it, right? Since I started this growth journey 7 years ago, I've never not done it. I mean, I've had like a Sunday where I don't work, obviously.
Yeah, but going back, can you imagine?
I'm dead serious. I said this on the podcast recently. In 15 years, if Alan said, "Hey, I will give you a $50 million check and you don't have to do this anymore. You can go do whatever you want. You can go to UFC every weekend. You can go to all the concerts you want, all the sporting events, and do whatever you want." There's no way I could do it. No way. I think I would be so miserable.
Isn't that
I would
wild?
be so...
Ironically, if I had said that in the beginning, you would have done it in a heartbeat.
I would have been all in.
Nice. That's actually why you started.
But it's about.
It's not.
No.
Yeah.
But it's about growth. Somebody asked me today on a show. They said they were asking about goal setting, and I said I don't recommend people set goals the way I do. And the host said, "Why do you set goals the way you do?" And I said, "Because Alan sets goals the way he does." I said, honestly, a lot of the goals, my growth goals, are not really mine. They're related to what has to happen in order for us to have the level of impact we want to have. And I said, so a lot of my goals were manufactured by someone else, and I just signed on the dotted line and said, all right, I'm going to do this. But we were talking about how I'll never really accomplish my biggest goal, because my biggest goal is not a goal that I can ever accumulate. It's more of, can I ever become that person? That's why I could never stop, because I'm never going to get the goal anyway. Mm-hmm. So if anything, if I stop trying, it's going to get worse.
Yeah, you'll get farther and farther from that person.
Yeah, and I'm already not going to get it.
I know.
So what am I? I can't just stop.
And now you know what you were capable of,
which is that's kind of the trap in a way.
The conundrum.
So, again, I love it. I'm all for it. But I just wonder if you've ever had the inkling, if that is a word, and if I am using it in the correct way, that growth isn't for you after you started growing. Really sit with that. Because I wonder if you know if you're more familiar with what your potential is, and you're more aware, I don't know if you're going to be fulfilled if you stop.
The neuroscience, Stephen Kotler's book, The Art of Impossible, breaks this down. He says that setting really, not having goals is bad for our biology. He says the biology is set up to have goals. You having this infinite game, you having this vision of a brighter future, you pursuing something meaningful to you, Kev, it's good for your biology. It's good for your health. It's good for your bank account. It's good for your financial freedom. It's good for your mental health. It becomes bad for it when you take it too far.
Yeah. Which I've done.
And we all have, right? But it's better than taking it not far enough. You have to, right? And you've done that too.
Yeah, the hard part about that is you don't get the pain the same way. I was thinking recently, because my anxiety was really bad for a couple weeks, and I had a moment where I said, I wonder if I did this, if I never did this, would I have anxiety at all? If I just did something completely different, I don't know. I don't think I would. I mean, I might, but I don't think it would be to the extent that I've dealt with it over this journey.
Agreed.
So I wouldn't really know. It's really hard to know what you're leaving on the table, to imagine what you're leaving on the table, but it's really easy to see what's overflowing when you do too much. Right. I think it's one of those things where you don't really know how much you're leaving on the table. Even I don't. By not working on Sunday and you working on Sunday, I don't know how much I'm leaving on the table.
I've tried to show you mathematically.
I know, but I don't know if it'll ever land because I don't know if it's I don't know if it's enough.
Yeah, I know.
For me to want it to be overflowing.
Here's the thing. If it wouldn't fulfill you, then it isn't leaving anything on the table. Think about that.
That's accurate.
This is the paradoxical conundrum, which is, I can't even pretend to understand what I just said. A paradoxical conundrum.
Aren't they the same?
Sounds cool. I think they're the same. This episode started, I know we got to jump. This episode started with Kevin saying the pain of not taking action needs to be greater than the pain of taking action. Something along those lines. And that goes with the rock bottom thing, my car accident, Kevin's suicidal ideation, mid-quarter life crisis. If the pain of taking action needs to be lower than the pain of not taking action, this is why self-belief becomes so important. Because if you have self-belief, you used to say, you're so disciplined, how are you so disciplined? Way back when you didn't understand why. Understandable question. I said, I'm not. I appear that way. I'm just more aware of the downside of not being disciplined. So when I know I'm capable of X, I have more pain by not doing it, whereas you don't even know you're capable of X, so there's no opportunity cost. Someone who is really, 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 really tech savvy and understands business, they know what they missed out on with Twitter. They know what they missed out on with Facebook. They know what they missed out on with Intel. When you don't know, that's why knowledge is power, but it's also pain. People who smoke and don't know that it's going to kill them, back in the day before we knew it was going to kill them, they got to ignorantly smoke and enjoy it without any repercussions, without any anxiety about it. Now, if you smoke cigarettes, there's going to be that little whisper of, hey, statistically speaking, you are going to die. Again, lung cancer is a very high probability, long term. That's why children are so playful and fun because they're ignorant. And people always say, like, I want to be like a kid again. My sister has this shirt, don't grow up, it's a trap. And I agree and disagree. Again, paradox. It's a lot more responsibility, but it's also, you're more in control of the outcomes in your own life. If you want to go back to you at 18, Kev, go back to being, compared to you now, you at 18 is not capable, not smart, doesn't know how the world works, hasn't traveled, doesn't understand the compound effect, doesn't understand positive choices, doesn't understand the downside of pornography, doesn't understand how to talk to women, doesn't know how to do anything in comparison to this version of Kev.
That's all fair.
But here's the thing. This version of Kev has a little anxiety about the next level. Whereas the old ignorant Kev, that's why I said it would be fun for a week. If I took you now and we went into a time machine, which I'm working on, I'm kidding, and we went back in time to when you and I were 18 and 17, or 19 and 18. I'm 19, you're 18. We go back, how many years ago was that?
Oh, man.
I don't know, man. 13 years or
16?
something? What?
16?
16 years? 16
I don't know. For some reason, there's like a lot
Here,
of numbers.
I got this. Ready, check this out. All right, hold on. I'm 35, and now I'm 19. So, okay, 16 years. Yeah,
Nice.
16 years. So I'm going to take us back in time 16 years ago. We're doing a lot of time machine episodes.
Yeah, what's going on?
And you and me are this consciousness. We're this capable. We're this body. We're this everything. We have all our skills. We have all our knowledge. We have all of our everything. But we don't have our network. We don't have our business. We don't have our resumes. We don't have our credentials.
My resume, pretty shiny, I know.
You are an avid fisherman on your resume, so you're not an avid fisherman yet. But we go back and we go into that version of our lives. Who were we dating? Okay, so I was dating Alyssa at the time. I think you were... I think so. That everything would have to change, and it would be fun for a week. You want to know why it would be fun for a week? Because we would have no responsibilities. Not none, but very few. I was driving, my Jetta back then. I think I had crashed my Jetta by that point. What car was I driving? I forget what car I was driving. The point is it would be a blasty blast for a week. And then you and I would well up inside with anxiety of knowing we are leaving so much on the table. I've tried to go back so many times to old world, quote unquote, and just hang out. I can be a tourist. I can enjoy it. You and I used to go back and we would fish on Father's Day back where I grew up. Dude, we can do that for a day, but we can't be fisherman bums. Can you imagine you and I fishing for 4 weeks straight, just hanging out, talking smack?
Well, even then, I think we were probably still talking. Well, no, not when I was 18.
We were talking deep. No, when we actually did it in real life.
Yeah, when we did it, we were talking.
Yeah, we were talking deep and growth conversations, but you and I wouldn't be able to go back there, brother.
No.
That's the irony, is it would be nice for a day. You and I fishing for a day in the hot sun, and
wonderful.
Me catching 9 fish and you catching 7.
Look, whatever.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it's okay.
That would be a blast. But the second day we'd be, okay, I miss my pets, I miss Emilia, you miss Taryn. You want to get back after it. And so it's this weird thing where growing up is not a trap. Growing up is amazing. It just kind of sucks too. And that's the last thing I've got, yeah.
Opportunity and responsibility are connected.
Mm-hmm.
If you have opportunity, you probably have a lot of responsibility. If you don't have a lot of responsibility, you probably don't have that much opportunity yet. When I go to Scotland, it's going to be the longest I've not podcasted, I think, since we started.
Yeah, agreed. That's gonna be hard for you. And then coming back will be challenging too.
I know. I might even just bring my microphone and record like a podcast growth you episode out there. I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna bring a mic anyway.
Look at that. You have more pain with not recording now than you do with recording.
I love recording. I do. I love recording. A heavy one today. Simple question. Are you more afraid of the discomfort of growth or the discomfort of stagnation? A very powerful question. One that I think all of us can find some lessons in if we answer it. If you are looking for a group of like-minded humans who are into growth, I know how rare that can seem. We have a private Facebook group called Next Level Nation. We will have the link in the show notes. Oh, no. July 9th.
Nice job. Nice.
Yeah, steel trap up here. Is our 15th round of group coaching.
July or June? Wait.
July.
Yeah.
July.
Nice work.
Yeah, July
9th.
Yeah, the next June thing we have is the meetup.
Yeah.
Which is on June 4th.
6th. Oh, we have got to get it together.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm on it.
Sorry. We're out here. We're out here, Jeffin.
I do have one more thing to share, if that's okay.
Yeah.
For everyone out there listening, I did this earlier with one of the team members. Shout out to Lizzie. Go back to when you were 18 in your mind. Think about who you were dating, what you were doing, what your habits were, what your dreams were, your goals were. Think about your life. What were you driving? Where did you live? Who did you hang out with? And then take this consciousness, this version of you, this you, and go back there and think about how misaligned that would be.
I wonder if I might have been more successful.
What do you mean?
When I was 18, I was pumping gas 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Mm-hmm. I'd go on over to Blackstone Valley Massage and Fitness. Straight from there. Hour and a half. Workout.
It's now called Bellator.
Yeah. Well, they moved locations too, and this was the original on the pond. The gym that I went to in high school was on this little pond. It was the best. What, talk about a throwback? My goodness. Then I would go home, I would eat dinner, and then I would drive a half hour to Worcester, Mass. to train jiu-jitsu. I wonder if I had this consciousness and this belief and this growth
of course
mindset.
You would have.
I would have been more successful in my endeavors. So
you definitely would have. My friend.
I wouldn't be working with you, and that would be a real shame for you. But
if you didn't work with me, you might not have this mindset. See the conundrum?
The paradoxical conundrum of paradoxical conundrums. All right, when's the meetup so we can let people go?
I wouldn't say. The meetup is,
It's the 4th.
I am not sure, my friend.
I think the 6th is
No, it's June 6th. I knew it. June 6th, 2024 at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We changed our meetups to 5 p.m. We're going to get it together, everybody.
Yeah, we do need to
How
get it
to
together.
get more of the right stuff done. This is a productivity meetup. How to be more productive.
Your favorite.
How to be more profitable. How to get more done in less time.
Cool. All right.
June 6th.
June 6th. Tomorrow for episode number 1706. It may not be your fault, but it is your responsibility. Again, another heavy one, but we're leaning into, I think, the episodes that we're most excited to talk about and the ones that I think are the most important to talk about. We're trying to lean into that. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Stay aligned. Next Level Nation.